Everyone who has their engraved invite to the Hillary Clinton coronation about a year from now might want to keep that stashed somewhere and keep it in good condition. Bernie Sanders is ready to toss Hillary off his lawn on Pennsylvania Avenue and make them collectibles. 3 weeks to go into Iowa, and we have exactly what we have been telling you would happen, and we mentioned this 6 months ago. There is no runaway, and the GOP frontrunner does not have as insurmountable a lead as he claims. It has been staring law enforcement square in the face for decades. One surefire way to tell if someone will become a hardened criminal determined to destroy lives. Finally, the FBI is digging into and tracking serial animal abusers. And we'll close tonight with a musical legend who could give American politicians a lesson in humble. One does not need to call oneself a legend if they have true talent and character. Quote Ziggy Stardust. I don't know where I'm going from here, but I know it won't be boring. I'm Ed Berliner. Put on your red shoes and dance to the tune of the Hardline for Monday, January the 11th, 2016.
And I want people to know if you work hard and you do your part, you can get ahead and stay ahead. And we're going to shuffle the deck, which has been stacked for too long, in favor of those at the top.
Democrats could not have been more certain. January 2017 was to be the coronation, the crowning achievement of an American political first family. The time when Hillary Rodham Clinton would drive that final stake into Republican hearts everywhere and guarantee another 8 years of demo disasters. But wait. What is that we hear? The curmudgeon from Vermont preparing his get off my lawn signs for 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue? Comments about believing rape victims when they talk of their alleged perpetrators coming back to haunt. And the FBI not nearly convinced they know everything there is to know. Is this the beginning of the end for Hillary or just another smokescreen? Let's kick things into gear with this special lead-off edition of The Political Animal. Dealing from the left, former Democratic senatorial aide and current contributor at The Hill, Brent Budowsky. Dealing from the right, nationally syndicated columnist and senior editor at The Federalist, David Harsanyi. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Brent, I'm going to start with you. It's right in your article. Shock poll. Sanders catches Clinton, crushes Trump in Iowa and New Hampshire. Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria. Brent, seriously, is this something to be concerned about, or is Hillary just better in the long run?
Oh, I think Hillary has an edge in the long run, but it absolutely is something for her team and the Clintons to be concerned about. We found out two things in the Wall Street Journal NBC poll. One is that in that poll, Bernie is within striking distance, only a few points down in Iowa. In New Hampshire, according to that poll, he's a few points up. Other polls have him up by even higher margins. The other thing that we learned is that Bernie Sanders absolutely, according to that poll, would annihilate Donald Trump by landslide margins in the general election in those two states. And that is profoundly interesting and I would argue important.
All right, now let's look at it from the right. David, just exactly what Brent alluded to here. In the same Wall Street Journal NBC poll, Bernie Sanders leads Donald Trump in Iowa by a 51 to 38% margin. In New Hampshire, he leads Trump by 56 to 37%. David, I know there's a lot of people saying that we're not that concerned, it'll all work out, but come on, there's got to be some concern on the Republican side here that Bernie's gaining steam and the guy who's at the top of the poll right now could be beat.
Well, I think those are two separate questions. I think the guy at the top of the poll for the Republicans will be beaten by almost any Democrat, but I still don't buy that Hillary is not going to be that person. I think polls this early, they don't mean that much. A lot of people, a lot of primary goers are looking for authenticity in their candidates. They want to make statements. They're looking for purity. You get that a lot. You get that a lot in elections when you look backwards. I mean, I think the front runners are rarely the front runners. I mean, the winner is rarely the front runner at this point. So if I was a Hillary booster, I wouldn't be that nervous about it. If I was a Republican, I'd be more nervous.
All right, now let me go back to something you just said here. Did you indicate, and boy, I'll tell you, David, you know this is going to really rankle a lot of people here, that any Republican, meaning Donald Trump or anybody else, regardless of the polls, will be beaten, quote unquote, by any Democrat?
Not any Republican. I think Donald Trump probably would be beaten. I think there are Republicans, and this is setting aside what I think about their policies. I think there are Republicans who would do better. I think Marco Rubio, for reasons of charisma and the way that he deals with politics, would probably do better. Ted Cruz, I'm not sure, but I think Donald Trump has hit the ceiling for his support probably. Even though I saw a poll recently, and I'm not exactly sure where it was, that there was a decent amount of crossover voting there as far as Democrats who are interested in Donald Trump. But in the end, I think it'd be very tough for him.
Brent, here's something else that makes it even more interesting. White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest acknowledging a private meeting between the president and Bernie Sanders. Here's what he said.
I don't have details about when the meeting took place, but the president has had an opportunity, has had multiple opportunities, both in private one-on-one interactions, as well as in interactions with the broader Senate Democratic caucus to visit with Senator Sanders, and I certainly wouldn't rule out future sit-downs.
Brent, with the president saying that he's not going to go public and endorse anybody, what does this meeting tell you?
Oh, I'll tell you what it means. First of all, I basically agree with David. I think it's much too early to predict anything. What I have written in the Observer, and I have another column there today, is that Bernie has a fairly good chance of winning Iowa and New Hampshire. On Obama, I may or may not write this column, but I'm thinking about it. But to answer your question directly, I don't think the president does a service to Democrats by trying to inject himself into the presidential campaign. I agree with what the president is doing on guns, whether you guys may or may not, but I thought it was way out of line and damaging to Democrats for him to have the presumption to say there are some Democrats in the House or Senate he might not support because of it. I think it was outrageous when Dennis McDonough went on the TV talk shows and would not say that Obama will support the Democratic nominee, whoever it is. And I guarantee you, I sent 2 inquiries, one of which is answered, one of which not, to the White House in clear language that every one of our audience would understand, that if I don't hear the president say that he will support whoever the nominee is, I will write a column that will get their attention and keep the president up at night. He has done real damage to the Democratic Party. And what he's doing right now, in my opinion, as someone who supported him, is not helpful. It is damaging. He should let the future be determined by the candidates.
Okay, let's talk damage then for a week.
Not try to define the campaign himself.
Let's talk damage then from another aspect here. And let me give this to you, David, just to go ahead and start out. The damage here seems to be coming on Hillary Clinton's side when people are going back to her statement. Rape victims should be believed. She said this. There are people coming to her now. Her husband is involved in things. David, on a strategic side of things, do you think this is something that the Republican candidates should dig in on? And can they make hay on this? Or is this something that is too touchy right now?
Well, I think it is damaging, actually, because of her statements about sort of setting aside the presumption of innocence when it comes to rape, when her own husband has had to deal with that sort of thing, whether you think he's guilty or not. So in some sense, it definitely helps blunt that attack, the war on women stuff. But I have to say, I'm not sure the candidates themselves have to be pushing back on that. I think the Republican Party in general does. So I think it definitely hurts her. And just to take a step back here, I think if Hillary has to deal, and we saw the FBI today get a little more involved in her email stuff, I think that's what they're probably very nervous about, more than guns or anything else, is getting behind a candidate who's going to have legal trouble. And whereas in the past, in 2008, they could turn to Obama, a charismatic candidate who was probably more talented than she was, really right now all you have is Bernie. So I think that's a dangerous situation for them. And he's a socialist essentially, and it appeals to a lot of Americans in the Democratic Party, but I don't think that there's a lot of widespread appeal there. So that's going to be a big problem for them.
Brent, let's get right to this right now. People are abandoning Hillary Clinton because they think she's a liar and they think Bernie Sanders is a more sincere candidate. Come on, that's really what it gets down to here.
No, I wouldn't put it that way. I think that there is a growing support among liberals and many populists for Bernie. I think Hillary maintains a significant degree of support. I think Bill Clinton will be a major net plus for Hillary, and I don't believe a word of this talk that you're hearing about him not being. I think he was a near great president who had a reputation earned for creating jobs and bringing optimism. But I do think,
and
without any question,
Brent,
the Democratic Party is a liberal populist party.
A lot of baggage.
Well, we'll let the voters decide that. But what I do believe is that Bernie Sanders embodies the kind of progressive populism that most Democrats believe in. My advice to the Clintons and their campaign has been she should embody that herself more forcefully.
All right, I only got about 45 seconds
behind
left.
about emails, but I do care about that.
All right, I got about 45 seconds left. So, Brent, give me a quick 15 seconds. What do you expect from the State of the Union?
Obama praising himself.
Okay, you did it in 5 seconds and you did it perfect. David, would you agree with that? Because it seems at this point now, look, his last State of the Union, nothing went anywhere from that one. So this is pretty much going to be a legacy huzzah when it comes to Barack Obama saying goodbye.
Yeah, I'll try to be kinder here. I think, yes, you'll hear a lot about him, but he'll probably also lay out some of the things he hopes the next Democrat will tackle, and I imagine that guns will be a big part of that.
You would imagine that, of course, and maybe a little showmanship as well. It never hurts. David Harsanyi, Brent Budowsky, gentlemen, thanks so much. It's always a pleasure to get a chance to talk to you. Tell us what you think about it when you hear the State of the Union, because you're going to hear it here on Newsmax on Tuesday night. You then get to tell us what you think, and if really anything the president says is going to get done down the road. Don't forget, State of the Union right here on Newsmax Tuesday night. I'll host with everybody else and the entire crew's here. Let's dig a little deeper into not only what ails Hillary, but a big "we told you so" about the Iowa caucuses. That's coming up next when Dick Morris joins us right here on The Hardline.